In the video you're going to put, no? Okay. She's going to appear in the video as well. And who is going to time us? Fla. Claudia is going to... Claudia is going to...
Okay.
Okay? Dile a Estela também. Are you ready?
Good morning, everyone. We're going to be starting with a short video clip that we'd love to play for you before we get started with the press conference.
I believe that the Guardians and their stories are so compelling and powerful that they are going to touch other Guardians all over the world that are critical for the future of the planet.
Guardiã é guardar, preservar, cuidar. É isso que a gente faz. Estar aqui, junta com outras companheiras que fazem do cotidiano da vida, né, a defesa de territórios, isso é muito significativo. Ese encontrar en comunión puntos en donde podemos unir fuerzas, fue un efecto regenerativo para mí y creo que para todas las hermanas que vinieron también.
A gente sabe que as mulheres são as maiores vulnerabilizadas pelas mudanças climáticas, né? E elas são também as portadoras das soluções.
Eu vejo que nós não somos bem reconhecidas. Nós, Guardiãs, se preocupamos muito com o nosso planeta e nós estamos no caminho certo. Por isso que é muito importante ter todas as Guardiãs unidas.
La voz de los pueblos originarios nos hacen recordar que somos uno con la naturaleza.
Maybe in this way, by having the stories of the Guardians told in such a compelling way, we can connect, but also support to allow them to emerge, to flourish, and really create a solution, a source of hope.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. Brazil as a place has shaped feminist environmental leadership for, in our experience, more than 3 decades. My name is Bridget Burns, and I'm the Executive Director of the Women's Environment and Development Organization, also known as We Do. I want to begin by grounding us where we stand. Brazil was the foundation to We Do, forged during the 1992 Rio Earth Summit by women like Bella Abzug, Wangari Maathai, Vandana Shiva, and Thais Corral, who we have here with us today. Women who understood that you cannot protect the planet while excluding the people who protect the land. Their vision was clear. Climate policy and environmental policy must be shaped by those with lived experience of defending ecosystems and communities. More than 30 years later, we return to the Amazon with that same truth and with women who embody it. Across the region, women are regenerating forests, restoring wetlands, cultivating food systems, defending biodiversity. They're scientists, land defenders, biocultural knowledge keepers, and yet their work remains largely invisible to the negotiation rooms and systematically excluded from climate finance and systems that claim to support locally led solutions. It's often said that the earth is not dying, it is being killed, and those who are killing it have names and addresses, and so do those who are defending it. That is why the Guardians of the Land movement and initiative exists. They are not here as symbols, they are here as strategists, as leaders with solutions the world needs. At COP30, we need to tell the truth. There is no climate ambition without resourcing the peoples who safeguard the world's most vital biomes. We're discussing here the renewal of a gender action plan, But this will remain empty words on paper if it remains unfunded. You cannot negotiate climate ambition in air-conditioned rooms, some of them, while the people holding ecosystems together are left unfunded and invisibilized. If climate finance cannot reach the women restoring forests and protecting water, then the system is simply not working. So in just a moment, you'll hear from 3 extraordinary guardians who will show you what real climate solutions look like, rooted in territory, culture, ancestral knowledge, science, regeneration, and collective care. And when we close the session, we'll return to what must happen next. How do we scale existing mechanisms, and how do we create dedicated resources for guardians of the land themselves? But before I pass over, I also just want to quickly address the protest outside the venue this morning. Other guardians who are demanding to be heard in this space. And as a member of the Women and Gender constituency, I want to say very clearly that today and every day, we follow the leadership of Indigenous women who defend life with courage and dignity. And their legitimate struggle reminds this process that there is no climate justice without the rights of Indigenous peoples. And with that, I'm happy to pass over to Thais.
Yes. Thank you very much, Bridget, and thank you for the opportunity, for us to be in this environment in the press conference, and just remembering 33 years ago when we were there. It's a little bit more than 33 years because it was in June, and I remember that also at the Rio 92, which was the Earth Summit, the conference that opened and create the platform of sustainable development. It was June, and we could already feel at that time climate change because it was winter and it was very hot. But we as women, and we do organize, was a convening organization of all global networks that at that time were addressing aspects of important for women to kind of the call for civilizational transformation, which was the Women's Action Agenda 21. And we gathered together at the Planeta Fêmea. We still have the video that you can find on YouTube and see it. But I think that Bridget was asking me a while ago, what was the essence at that time that was the convening power of we do. And I think it was community, it was to build a movement that had no boundaries. It was not for this, we have all different kinds of women, from celebrities, heads of states, from grassroots, from peasants that didn't speak Portuguese or English, to nuns, all of them during 14 days were at the Planeta Fêmea. We had Dalai Lama, Lula, and the video show all that. And that spirit, I think that we do has carried over these 33 years. And I am very proud to see this new generation, like Claudia that is here, and all the women that are carrying the ball of Bella, of ourselves. At that time I was, of course, younger than I am now. And I think that this is still something unique, that these platforms that the UN has created, and these conventions that were issued at the Rio conference, you still have. And I myself was for a while kind of making these bridges of these two levels, global to local, local to global, because I always had brought what we agreed at these conferences and these platforms to the local level, Agenda 21, Women's Movement, with two organizations in Brazil, the Network of Human Development and the huge rate of network that I had. But after 20 years of the Rio conference, actually in 1912, when you had the Rio Plus 20, I decided to embrace place in the local level, truly being part of a place and creating an example that I could live to the next generation. No, like Sinaldo Vale, which is this organization, is an incubator of what we say solutions, but also initiatives that bring women, but also communities and scientists, all kinds of knowledges together to really answer the challenge we have today, which is the challenge of restoring the ecosystems, restoring Earth for everyone. And I think that Bella Abzug used to say, you need the computers and the drums. And of course, now we would say we need AI and everything we can in the drums and the people. And that's what Sinal is like a systemic place that creates the grounding and being a container, a vessel for all these initiatives to grow and to flourish in a bioregion, no, the scale of a bioregion. So you can search more about us at sinaldovale.com. And one of our initiatives is also to sustain the women that are also like guardians of Earth, that also are guardians of territories across Brazil, across in our own territory, which is Recôncavo da Guanabara, but also across Latin America to continue, to be able to continue to do the same. So Guardians of the Earth is our movement, and this is what we have, we are showcasing and presenting here at the COP. And then I have the pleasure at my right to present, to introduce Coral Herencia, and she is going to tell better than I what she does in the south of Chile.
Muy buenos días con todas y todos. Un gran placer poder tener la oportunidad a través de WIDU de traer la voz a estos espacios de diálogo y reflexión tan profundos de esta visión de las guardianas de la tierra. Ser una guardiana es poder comprender cómo somos cuidadoras de la semilla, de el entendimiento de un territorio vivo, de una conexión con la naturaleza, traerla a este tiempo y al mismo tiempo poder reinterpretarla y proponer algo hacia la vida ante los desafíos que estamos viviendo en estos momentos, que son grandes desafíos. Estamos en una gran crisis y todos lo sabemos, y quien no quiera reconocerlo es porque algo no está bien. Y ser una guardiana es tener la capacidad y la sensibilidad para poder reconocer todo aquello que no está funcionando de una buena manera, con valentía, observarlo, para luego tener la capacidad de proponer soluciones que se sustentan en un equilibrio con la naturaleza, en una relación viva con la madre tierra. Y creo que el concepto de guardianas es una fuerza que está emergiendo en estos tiempos nuevamente y que está tocando los corazones de las personas que están resonando con una visión mucho más equilibrada y nos permiten poner en acción. Entonces, mi nombre es Coral Herencia, soy una mujer joven, mestiza, de linajes andino-amazónicos del Perú, que hoy estoy al servicio y al cuidado de los bosques nativos del sur de Chile. Y en este camino de cuidar, de aprender a ser una guardiana, no solo en el nombre, sino en la acción, poniéndonos al servicio del resguardo de los bosques nativos del sur de Chile, que lamentablemente es un ecosistema tan sagrado, tan valioso, tan importante a nivel global, pero que está bajo la mira de acciones y proyectos extractivistas, porque estos bosques tienen una gran cantidad de biodiversidad, de madera, de naturaleza, pero también de agua. Y entonces nosotros, como Fundación Cuidemos Paraísos, venimos trabajando desde hace 4 años en la protección de estos bosques ante amenazas que van apareciendo cada cierto tiempo. Y en este momento estamos impulsando un proyecto que va a permitir proteger la última parte de este bosque nativo que se encuentra en amenaza. y así garantizar, entendiendo que somos guardianas y que la tierra es un sistema completamente unificado, que estamos cuidando estos bosques que son los pulmones de la tierra, provisores de agua, provisores de biodiversidad, y así asumiendo el compromiso de ser guardianas de la tierra desde la acción consciente en nuestros territorios, de manera colaborativa con las comunidades originarias, para así traer conciencia, resguardo y juntos garantizar el legado de naturaleza que le vamos a entregar a unas futuras generaciones. Creo con toda la fuerza de mi corazón, a pesar de la gran crisis que estamos viviendo, que si los humanos podemos, nos permitimos, nos atrevemos a abrir el corazón a la vida, a poner toda nuestra creatividad al servicio de la transformación, podríamos lograr grandes cosas. Y no es una utopía, es una realidad. Pero hay que ser valientes para atreverse a salir del ego y los intereses personales y caminar al servicio y al cuidado de la vida. Pero hay un secreto, que cuando uno camina cuidando la vida nos cuida y nos entrega sus bendiciones. Y les invito a todos los que escuchen esta conferencia, atrévanse a sentirse parte de la vida, a cambiar y transformar su visión del mundo, y vamos a lograr cambios que van a hacernos gente feliz en esta tierra. Y no habrán más guerras y no habrá más dolor, porque eso es fruto de la separación. Y aquí estamos juntas recordando que somos guardianas de la tierra. A fuerza a todos los bosques nativos, fuerza Madre Tierra, a todas las comunidades originarias, aquí estamos caminando a su cuidado. Ay, ay, ay.
Bien, ahora vamos a... now we pass on to Stella Zapata, Stella Mari Zapata. Stella is from a region in the north of Patagonia in Argentina and has a very interesting initiative to show that, that how you can have nature-based solutions and bioeconomy initiatives also in indigenous territories.
Muchas gracias. Bueno, Estela Zapata, de la comunidad mapuche Millaqueo, que está ubicada en Neuquén, al norte de la Patagonia Argentina. Bueno, muchas gracias por este espacio, a Guido, a mis compañeras guardianas. Y bueno, en este nuevo contexto, con el cambio climático, y como decía mi compañera Coral, nos hemos vuelto con una mirada mucho más comprometida cada día. El cuidado de la tierra para una comunidad va más allá de lo espiritual, porque es generacional también. Y es así como mi comunidad hace 3 años nos asociamos con 2 empresas para desarrollar el proyecto Antú. Es un parque solar que se va a instalar dentro de las 42 hectáreas de las 9.500 que tiene escriturada la comunidad. En este proceso, la comunidad ha aprendido nuevos términos, tanto técnicos como jurídicos y administrativos, y nos hemos fortalecido en cada paso y hemos logrado aprovechar los años de gestión comunitaria que tiene en el territorio. Y con nuestros nuevos socios, que nos han dado nuevas fortalezas, nos permiten alejarnos de una situación de vulnerabilidad, porque estamos pensando en un proyecto que es generacional. Un parque solar que va a estar funcionando por 30 años dentro del territorio y que nos va a dar el aporte económico para poder afrontar el cambio climático. Ya no podemos vivir de lo que nosotros diariamente o generacionalmente vivíamos, porque ha cambiado el clima y la escasez de agua, el recurso forrajero, nuestros animales no están en las condiciones para seguir dándonos el aporte económico que nos daban. Entonces nos hemos vuelto creativos, como dice, porque el parque solar Antú es mucho más que un proyecto energético, es un hito en América Latina, porque es un parque donde una comunidad indígena participa como socia accionista. Este parque tiene identidad cultural mapuche y tiene un compromiso con el ambiente, con la equidad, con el respeto por el territorio. Y es una manera de generar energía renovable profundamente arraigado con el territorio, con la cultura, y estamos activos. Y si una comunidad de 40 familias con 300 miembros que gestionan un territorio son proactivos, son comprometidos con el cambio climático, ¿cómo no lo pueden hacer otras empresas, otras comunidades, en esa comunión, en ese encuentro y generando un compromiso mucho más grande? Hay que pensar que cada día que pasa estamos perdiendo la capacidad de conectarnos, como decía Coral. Entonces, imagínense que si uno le da un regalo a un hijo, uno le enseña a cuidar ese regalo. Entonces, tenemos que enseñarle a las generaciones que vienen, a las que están, que hay que cuidar lo que tenemos, tenemos un gran esfuerzo para poder desarrollar estos proyectos que aportan al cambio climático. Y esto ha sido gracias porque también hubieron socios que creyeron en nosotros, como Meliquina, como Sustentar Energías, que son parte de la empresa Clane Buenantú, que se llama Las Tres Fuerzas del Sol. Los invito a todos a repensar el modelo de desarrollo que tenemos. Podemos ser más creativos, podemos tener otro tipo de compromiso, trabajar de forma societaria y pensar que estos proyectos son generacionales y que el compromiso tiene que ser generacional de todos nosotros. Así que los invito a seguir pensando qué otro modelo de desarrollo queremos y a trabajarlo y a sembrarlo.
Thank you so much. It's really critical as we do our work in advocacy here to understand why we fight for the words and the texts that we fight for in this space. When we renegotiate and work with parties to renew a gender action plan, it's not to have a nice to have on the climate, in the climate negotiations. It's because we fundamentally understand that if we don't invest in gender equality, human rights, and the rights of indigenous peoples, we cannot have just or effective climate outcomes. And so in the current negotiations that we're looking at right now, we are fighting for recognition of not just the rights of women, but the rights of women in all their diversity, of indigenous women, of Afro-descendant women, of gender-diverse peoples, of folks who are experiencing climate in different regions in different ways, and we want their realities to be centered in how we shape our outcomes, particularly at national level. We're also deeply engaging in the negotiations around a just transition, articulating what the principles for that transition should be and where the solutions really are. How can we actually get practices and policies put in place that put the resources in the hands of those who are already driving solutions in their countries and communities. And similarly, this is how we are focusing on a finance system that systematically does not work and does not deliver resources to the front lines where we see the solutions exist. And so I just want to point to, in addition to the work that we're doing to both frame the existing financial resources that exist on climate finance, we're also urgently trying to resource action now. And there are many examples from WeDo's Gender Just Climate Solutions Scale Fund to another recently launched fund by one of the other women in Rio, Jane Fonda, launched a Jane Fonda Gender and Climate Justice Fund, to the Guardiãs initiative, which we see as an opportunity to drive resources, particularly in this region, to the work that is already happening. So with that, I'd love to open the floor if there were any questions for the amazing folks who are here before you. Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Salamatu from Nigeria. I am a woman in environment. I'm a lecturer, and I also own an indigenous NGO, which is centered on women empowerment to nurture the environment. I appreciate this discourse today. My question is, I didn't hear mention of Africa at the pilot discourse, but I'm opportune to be in this room. So how can I leverage on this discourse so that I can get a beneficiary strategy, framework, or funding to help the indigenous women that I interface with that are also guardians? In my country, they do it as a sort of cultural responsibility. And I'm here now. How can I get benefits for them so that I can now translate it to them to appreciate the traditional knowledge and practices that they are already doing as sustainable climate adaptation action? Thank you.
Hi. Thank you very much for your question. When you stood up and you said that you are from Nigeria, you know that Brazil is the second biggest Afro-descendant African population after Nigeria. So especially the bioregion that we are caretakers is the bioregion where enslaved people from Africa, 1/3 of them came through our bioregion. So we have a lot of experiences working with resistance like quilombos and with people that came from that, unfortunately, from that origin. So of course you can look into the model we have used, the biohubs, and how we are enabling working in partnerships with a trail, which is the Caminho da Guanabara, Recôncavo da Guanabara, where many of these communities are around. So we will be very glad to share with you how we are doing it in Brazil and the way that you can share with your communities in Nigeria.
I also just wanted to add to that, that I think that one thing folks should take hope from, if you are particularly coming here, working in your communities, working with women, working with indigenous women, is that there are many initiatives. There's a multiplicity of initiatives that are happening in different regions and in different communities that are particularly bringing women, environment, and climate together. In addition to this particular delegation, we also have a delegation here from Zimbabwe who's working on energy justice, for example, and they're called the Shine Collaborative. There are many other regionally based initiatives that I think we could point you to, but I think for us, it's part of how do we make that visible in spaces like the climate negotiations, where often you would think that gender is a new issue, is a new topic, and the intersections of women and environment are something that no one has thought of before, when there's both centuries and decades worth of work that has happened to bring people together and to connect us. And I think we all remain very clear in a shared vision that the way that we will challenge power and create these alternatives is by creating networks and spaces where we can be in collective together. So I think we have just 1 minute left, unfortunately. We're going to have to end, but Coral, if you would like to sing us out, that would be welcome. 1 minute, 1 minute.
Me gustaría compartir esto con el corazón. Florecerá, floreceré, floreceremos como la tierra. Florecerá, floreceré, floreceremos, porque somos la tierra, llamando aquí a las guardianas de los territorios. Estamos juntas, florecerá, floreceré y floreceremos, porque somos la tierra.